So they've announced this White House UFC fight. Can we expect to see you on the card?
John Bones Jones just announced he's coming out of retirement for the most insane event in UFC history. And when I tell you what Dana White said about his chances, you're going to lose your mind. The UFC president literally gave Jones odds of 1 in a billion. 1 billion. But here's the kicker: Jones doesn't care. He's back in the anti-doping pool, training harder than ever and gunning for something that could change combat sports forever. We're talking about the White House card, and the drama behind the scenes is absolutely wild.
But I feel like Dana gained so much leverage after that because, like, Conor McGregor doesn't want to miss that.
So let's break down what's really happening here. Jones retired earlier this year and everyone thought he was done. Dana White basically said goodbye, the fans moved on, and it looked like the greatest light heavyweight of all time was walking away for good. Then whispers started circulating about this historic White House event planned for 2026. Not just any event, we're talking about fights literally on the White House grounds. The moment Jones heard about this possibility, everything changed. His competitive fire got rekindled instantly. This isn't just another title defense or money grab. This is about cementing a legacy that goes beyond the octagon. Jones sees this as his chance to be part of something bigger than combat sports, something that transcends MMA entirely. And suddenly, retirement doesn't sound so appealing anymore.
You do an interview, you spoke so highly, so respectful of Jon Jones, calling him the GOAT. People are already looking at you as probably one of the greatest to ever do it, and you're so young in your career. Do you feel Jon Jones is the GOAT of the UFC?
Of course, he is the GOAT of MMA, bro. But if somebody could be a king of MMA, he's a king of MMA. So that guy is such a good guy and a crazy fighter. And I like to watch his fights, and I like to watch his eyes. How special he is. You know, he wanna fight. If it's going bad for him, I don't know, some way he work out there with the win there, you know. So he's special guy in MMA. We can't say this guy is MMA, you know. He's legend. Happy to see him finish now, undefeated. I hope he never come back for.
But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Jones has been secretly working with Khamzat Chimaev, the new middleweight champion who just dominated at UFC 319. We're talking about a 25-minute masterclass where Chimaev controlled his opponent for nearly 3 minutes straight on the ground. It was a grappling clinic that had the entire MMA world buzzing. Jones saw that performance and immediately reached out. He's been training with Chimaev, helping him refine his skills while getting back into peak condition himself. This isn't just mentorship, it's strategic. Jones knows that aligning himself with the sport's hottest rising star gives him credibility and shows he's still relevant. Plus, training with someone as hungry and violent as Chimaev is pushing Jones to levels he hasn't reached in years. The two have developed this mutual respect that's honestly beautiful to watch. But make no mistake, Jones is using this partnership to fuel his own comeback dreams.
That you are the scariest guy in MMA.
That's a huge compliment coming from Khamzat. I'm a big fan of Khamzat. I don't think he has any reason to toot my horn or to even be humbled. He doesn't have to be. I mean, heavyweights fear him, and the fact that he has so much respect for me really means a lot. It shows me a lot about his character, his humility to be able to compliment someone in such a huge way. So I'm very grateful.
Now listen to this part, because this is where Dana White comes in swinging. The UFC president has serious reservations about putting Jones on this White House card, and he's not being subtle about it. When asked about Jones' chances, White didn't hesitate. He said Jones has a 1 in a billion shot at headlining this event. 1 in a billion. That's not just doubt, that's basically telling the world that Jones is done. White's concerns aren't unfounded either. We're talking about Jones' history with drug test failures, legal issues, and the various controversies that have followed him throughout his career. Now imagine all of that under the microscope of a White House event. The scrutiny would be insane. Every media outlet in the world would be watching. One mistake, one controversy, one bad headline could derail not just the fight, but potentially damage the UFC's relationship with whatever political figures are involved in making this event happen. White's thinking about the bigger picture here, and frankly, Jones represents a massive risk.
No, I mean, as of right now, the champion is Tom Aspinall, but we'll see who's the champion at the end of the year. It'd be only fitting to have an American guy fight for the championship that night.
And get this, Jones' response to those 1,000,000-to-1 odds was perfect. He completely ignored the criticism and doubled down on his comeback plans. Instead of getting defensive or making excuses, he quietly entered the anti-doping testing pool and ramped up his training. That's the Jon Jones we know, the guy who thrives on being doubted, who performs best when everyone's counting him out. His confidence hasn't wavered for a second. He's posting workout videos, staying in incredible shape, and maintaining this positive attitude that suggests he knows something we don't. Maybe he has inside information about the White House event. Maybe he's got political connections we're not aware of. Or maybe he's just betting on his own legendary status to eventually wear down Dana White's resistance. Either way, his unwavering self-belief is exactly what made him dominant for so many years.
There's been so much speculation about the White House card. I've seen a lot, obviously, what you said recently to Jim Rome. Just wondered, at this point, is there anything in the next few months or several months that Jon could do where you could say, okay, I actually trust him to put him on that card?
Let me ask you, what do you think Jon would do in the next couple of months that would make me trust putting him on the White House card?
Well, I would not trust him, but I would like to see him fight Aspinall on that card down the road.
So I already said that I don't trust him, and you're asking me what could he do for me to trust him in the next 3 months. You don't trust him.
Well, yes, but you talk to him. I don't.
Yeah. No, I don't talk to him either. I haven't talked to him at all.
Well, there's a greater chance you'll talk to him than I'll talk to him.
Yeah. I would not bet on, if I had to make odds, it's 1,000,000,000-to-1 that I put Jon.
But wait, it gets worse for Jones' chances. Conor McGregor is also gunning for the White House card, and Dana White's attitude toward McGregor is completely different. While White gave Jones 1,000,000,000-to-1 odds, he's openly expressing confidence in McGregor's ability to make a successful return. Think about that for a second. McGregor hasn't fought in 4 years. 4 years. Jones has been more active recently than McGregor, yet White trusts McGregor more. Why? Because McGregor is the UFC's biggest commercial asset. He brings eyeballs, he brings pay-per-view buys, and most importantly, he brings mainstream attention. For a White House event, mainstream attention is everything. McGregor also entered the anti-doping pool, signaling his serious intent to return. The guy's been focused on his fitness, his business ventures have been successful, and his brand is still massive globally. From Dana White's perspective, McGregor represents star power with less risk than Jones. Sure, McGregor has his own controversies, but they're different from Jones' issues. McGregor's problems seem more like celebrity drama, while Jones' issues feel more serious and potentially damaging to the sport's image.
Trying to get on it. Who are the sort of people blowing up your phone trying to get on?
Well, I mean, everybody wants to be on this card. I mean, you don't even have to know who's blowing up my phone. You can just see it all on the internet. But, you know, the fight's a year away, so the landscape will change a lot over the next year.
I saw you say to the Nail Boys that you want to make it like a badass card and stuff like that. Are we talking a couple of title fights? Are we talking?
Yeah, it'll be a pay-per-view card.
But like UFC 300 level, or you think it'll just depend on what you can do?
The best card we could possibly put together.
Is there a chance you do Conor and Jon on the same card?
I don't know. I mean, in a year, who knows what the world will look like in a year?
Is it so? Obviously, look, this is still to be planned, but logistically, I saw you say you want the White House on one side, the monument on the other.
That's what it'll be. We're going to be on the South Lawn, and literally when you're watching the fight, this will all be the White House here, and then behind me will be, you know, the Washington Monument.
Here's the kicker, though. The White House event is still in the early planning stages, and nothing is set in stone. Dana White has explicitly said that serious discussions about specific matchups won't even begin until after January. That means we're still months away from knowing who gets selected for this historic card. The logistical challenges alone are mind-boggling. We're talking about security clearances, political approvals, venue modifications, and coordination with multiple government agencies. This isn't just booking a fight, it's orchestrating a diplomatic event that happens to feature combat sports. The pressure on everyone involved is immense. One wrong move could embarrass the UFC, the fighters, and potentially even government officials. White knows that every fighter on this card needs to be absolutely bulletproof from a public relations standpoint. That's why he's being so cautious about Jones, despite acknowledging his incredible talent and legendary status.
Felt like I've done it all in the MMA space. There wasn't too many more challenges for me. I just wanted to do something more than championships and money. Donald Trump mentioned that he wanted to have a fight at the White House. That just seems like such a huge opportunity. I'm a very proud American. I have a lot of close friends.
Michael Chandler just threw another wrench into this whole situation by declaring his intention to fight on the White House card. Chandler specifically wants to face McGregor there, saying he'd love to settle their feud on the White House lawn. Can you imagine that visual? Two of the sport's most explosive fighters going to war with the most famous building in America as the backdrop. Chandler's been chasing this McGregor fight for years, and he sees the White House event as the perfect stage for their showdown. He's been incredibly vocal about his desire to be involved, even going so far as to say he's planning to be at the White House next year. But Chandler's also being realistic about McGregor's unpredictability. He knows that McGregor's return isn't guaranteed, regardless of entering the testing pool. McGregor has teased comebacks before only to change his mind or get distracted by other ventures. Chandler's smart enough to manage his expectations while still pursuing the opportunity aggressively. His approach is actually more strategic than Jones. He's expressing desire without putting all his eggs in one basket. Now here's what nobody's talking about. The competition for spots on this White House card is going to be absolutely brutal. Every fighter in the UFC is going to want a piece of this historic event. We're talking about career-defining exposure, the kind of mainstream attention that transcends combat sports entirely. Fighters who get selected for this card will be part of sports history forever. Their grandkids will be able to say their grandfather fought at the White House. That level of prestige is worth more than any paycheck, and every fighter knows it. The problem is, there are probably only going to be a handful of fights on this card. Maybe 6 or 8 fighters total get selected. Out of an entire roster of hundreds of UFC athletes, only a select few will make the cut. The criteria won't just be about fighting ability, it'll be about marketability, reliability, public image, and star power. Jones has the star power and fighting ability, but his public image is questionable. McGregor has everything except recent activity. Chandler has the reliability and skill, but maybe not the star power of the other two. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think Jon Jones can overcome Dana White's skepticism and earn his spot on the White House card? Or are those 1,000,000-to-1 odds actually accurate? Is McGregor the safer bet despite his long layoff? Or could someone like Chandler steal a spot from both of them? This White House event has the potential to be the most significant moment in combat sports history. And watching these legends fight for their chance to be part of it is almost as entertaining as the fights themselves. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening behind the scenes, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this White House card situation is going to get even crazier as we get closer to the actual event. I'll see you in the next one. But hold up, there's something massive I haven't told you yet, and this changes everything about the White House card dynamics. While everyone's focused on Jones, McGregor, and Chandler, there's been some serious behind-the-scenes maneuvering happening that most people don't even know about. Alex Pereira, the current light heavyweight champion, has been quietly positioning himself as the most logical headliner for this historic event. And when you hear his reasoning, it's actually genius. Pereira's team has been making the argument that he represents everything the White House card should embody. He's the active champion. He's got zero controversies, and his fighting style is pure violence that casual fans absolutely love. Unlike Jones, who's coming out of retirement with baggage, or McGregor, who hasn't fought in years, Pereira is at the peak of his powers right now. He just demolished Kalo Rountree at UFC 307 with that devastating left hook, and before that, he knocked out Jamahal Hill so brutally that people are still talking about it. The guy is on this incredible tier where every fight feels like a highlight reel waiting to happen. His knockout power is so legendary that even non-MMA fans get excited when they see him fight. That's exactly the kind of spectacle you want for a White House event. Here's where it gets really interesting though. Pereira's been studying English intensively for the past 6 months specifically, because he knows this White House opportunity might come up. The guy hired a private tutor, he's been doing media training, and he's genuinely trying to improve his ability to promote fights in English. That shows incredible dedication and foresight. He understands that being on a White House card means dealing with mainstream media, political figures, and a level of scrutiny that goes way beyond typical fight promotion. His team is positioning him as the safe, reliable choice who can deliver spectacular violence without any of the drama or risk that comes with other fighters. It's actually a brilliant strategy, and Dana White has definitely taken notice. But wait, there's more. The political implications of this White House card are absolutely wild. and nobody's really talking about this angle. We're potentially looking at the first combat sports event held at the White House since the current administration took office. That means every fighter selected has to be thoroughly vetted not just by the UFC, but potentially by government security agencies. We're talking background checks, financial audits, and scrutiny of every social media post these fighters have ever made. Jones' legal history becomes a massive liability in this context. McGregor's various controversies with law enforcement could be problematic. Even Chandler's trash talk and aggressive persona might be seen as too risky for such a formal setting. Now here's something that'll blow your mind. I've been hearing rumors that the White House event might not even be a traditional UFC card. Multiple sources are suggesting it could be some kind of hybrid event that combines MMA with other combat sports. Think about it: boxing legends, maybe some Olympic wrestlers, possibly even martial arts demonstrations. The goal would be to showcase American combat sports excellence on the world's biggest stage. If that's true, then fighters like Jones, McGregor, and Chandler aren't just competing against other UFC athletes. They're competing against boxers, Olympic champions, and representatives from every combat discipline imaginable. That completely changes the selection criteria and makes the competition even more intense. Speaking of intense competition, Colby Covington just threw his hat in the ring for the White House card, and his approach is completely different from everyone else's. Instead of focusing on his fighting credentials, Colby's been emphasizing his political connections and his understanding of Washington culture. The guy's been posting pictures of himself at political events, name-dropping politicians he's met, and basically positioning himself as the fighter who best understands the significance of a White House event. It's actually a smart angle because it shows he gets the bigger picture. This isn't just about putting on a good fight, it's about representing the sport in a formal political environment. Colby's controversial persona might seem like a liability, but his team is spinning it as authentic American competitiveness that would resonate with a White House audience. But here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. There are whispers that international fighters might be included on this White House card as part of some kind of diplomatic initiative. Imagine if they brought in fighters from allied nations to create this international showcase of combat sports. That would completely change everything we think we know about fighter selection. Suddenly, guys like Israel Adesanya from New Zealand, or Alexander Volkanovski from Australia, or even someone like Francis Ngannou could be in the mix. The White House event could become this incredible display of international cooperation through combat sports. If that happens, American fighters like Jones, McGregor, and Chandler aren't just competing against each other. They're competing for limited spots against the best fighters from around the world. And get this, the financial implications of this White House card are absolutely staggering. Early estimates suggest that fighters selected for this event could earn more money than they've ever made in their entire careers. We're not just talking about fight purses, we're talking about endorsement opportunities, book deals, movie offers, and mainstream media appearances that could set these fighters up for life. The exposure from fighting at the White House would be worth tens of millions in marketing value. Every major brand in the world would want to associate with fighters who were part of this historic event. That's why everyone's fighting so hard for these spots, and it's why Dana White is being so careful about his selections. He knows that whoever gets chosen will become household names overnight. Now let's talk about something that's been bothering me. The timeline for this White House event keeps shifting, and I think there's more going on behind the scenes than anyone realizes. Originally, we heard 2026, but now some sources are suggesting it might happen sooner. Others are saying it could be delayed indefinitely due to logistical challenges. The truth is, coordinating an event like this involves so many moving parts that the timeline is probably fluid. You've got to coordinate with the White House staff, Secret Service, multiple government agencies, international diplomatic channels if foreign fighters are involved, and obviously the UFC's existing schedule. Any one of these elements could cause delays or force changes to the entire concept. That uncertainty is probably driving Dana White crazy, and it might explain why he's being so cautious about making commitments to specific fighters. Here's something wild that just occurred to me. What if the White House card isn't about current champions or active fighters at all? What if it's designed to be a legacy event featuring legends of the sport? Picture this: Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz in their final fight. Matt Hughes coming out of retirement for one last showcase. maybe even bringing back fighters who helped build the UFC into what it is today. The White House setting would be perfect for honoring the history and evolution of mixed martial arts. If that's the direction they're going, then Jones actually makes perfect sense despite his controversies, because he's undeniably one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. McGregor would fit perfectly too, as the fighter who brought MMA into mainstream consciousness more than anyone else. But wait, I just realized something that changes everything about Jones' 1,000,000-to-1 odds. What if Dana White is playing mind games? Think about it, White is a master promoter who understands that controversy and doubt create interest. By publicly giving Jones such terrible odds, he's creating a narrative where Jones becomes the underdog fighting against impossible circumstances. That's exactly the kind of story that generates massive public interest. If Jones does make it onto the White House card, the redemption angle writes itself. Former champion with a troubled past gets one final shot at glory on the biggest stage imaginable. The media would eat that story up, and it would generate incredible attention for the event. White might be setting up the perfect comeback story while pretending to doubt Jones' chances. And speaking of mind games, McGregor's been suspiciously quiet about his White House card aspirations lately. Usually when Conor wants something, he's incredibly vocal about it. He talks trash, he makes demands, he generates headlines. But his approach to the White House opportunity has been much more subdued and professional. That suggests he's taking this incredibly seriously and doesn't want to jeopardize his chances with typical McGregor antics. His team probably told him that this situation requires a different approach, less showmanship, more professionalism. If McGregor can maintain that discipline, he becomes an even stronger candidate for the White House card because he'd be showing growth and maturity while still bringing his incredible star power. Now here's the angle nobody's considering. What happens to the fighters who don't make it onto the White House card? The disappointment is going to be crushing for legends like Jones who see this as their final shot at career-defining glory. But that disappointment could actually fuel some incredible performances in regular UFC events. Imagine Jones missing out on the White House card and then coming back with something to prove in a regular octagon. The intensity and motivation would be off the charts. Same with McGregor or any of the other fighters vying for these spots. Sometimes the best performances come from fighters who feel like they have to prove they deserve better opportunities. The White House card selection process might actually elevate the entire sport by pushing elite fighters to perform at even higher levels. Here's my final thought on this whole situation, and this is crucial. The White House card represents a potential turning point for mixed martial arts as a legitimate mainstream sport. For years, MMA has been fighting for respect and recognition alongside traditional sports like football, basketball, and baseball. A successful White House event could finally cement MMA's place in American sports culture permanently. But a failed or controversial White House event could set the sport back years. That's why Dana White is being so careful, and that's why the selection process is so intense. Every decision matters, every fighter selected has to be perfect, and there's no room for error. The future of the sport might literally depend on getting this event right. So what do you think is really going on here? Are we witnessing the most important fighter selection process in combat sports history? Or is this all just brilliant marketing by Dana White to generate interest in upcoming fights? Drop your theories in the comments because I want to hear what you think about these White House card politics. And if you're as fascinated by this behind-the-scenes drama as I am, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on because this story is going to keep evolving, and I'll be breaking down every twist and turn as it happens.